Hi everyone, my name is Leah Fowler and I am Research Director and a Research Assistant Professor at the University of Houston Law Center's Health Law and Policy Institute. And today I am here with Stephanie Eberhardt. Stephanie is an Assistant Attorney General in the Consumer Protection Division of the Texas Attorney General's Office. And we are proud to say Stephanie is also a graduate of the University of Houston Law Center. We're very lucky to have her today because she'll be presenting on important consumer protection issues that her office is encountering in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic. Stephanie, thank you so much for being here today. We look forward to hearing what you have to say. Now take it away.
Thanks, Leah. Let's get this presentation up. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie Eberhardt. I'm an Assistant Attorney General with the Consumer Protection Division, and I'm here to talk about how our office is responding to the COVID-19 disaster with price gouging and other consumer scams. So the Attorney General's office has many divisions, including the Consumer Protection Division. And the Consumer Protection Division protects consumers and the legitimate business community by filing lawsuits under the Texas Deceptive Trade Practices Act and other consumer protection statutes. We have an office in Austin, as well as 5 regional offices throughout the state in Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, El Paso, and Pharr. When the Consumer Protection Division files lawsuits, we file those lawsuits on behalf of the state of Texas and the public good. So we're taking legal action to enforce state law and representing the state of Texas as the plaintiff. We cannot represent individual consumers. However, some of our legal actions will get restitution or actual damages for individual consumers whose complaints are the basis for our lawsuit. The types of cases that we prosecute there's a wide variety, anything from home repair, price gouging, drug labeling, fake diplomas, synthetic drugs, unauthorized practice of law. Our statute is very broad, and so we do have, can cover many different areas when we're seeking to enforce it. And so in the price gouging context, our price gouging authority is triggered when there is a disaster declared by the governor under section 418014A of the Texas Government Code. And so the governor may declare a state of disaster if the governor finds that a disaster has occurred or that the occurrence or threat of disaster is imminent. When this disaster declaration goes into effect, that triggers our price gouging authority under the Texas Deceptive Trade Practices Act. And under 1746A gives us the authority to pursue cases for false, misleading, and deceptive acts or practice in the conduct of trade or commerce, including laundry list item B27, which is taking advantage of a disaster declared by the Texas governor under Chapter 418 by demanding an excessive or exorbitant price for fuel, food, medicine, or other necessity. And so in the context of the coronavirus, our governor issued a statewide emergency declaration on March 13th, 2020, which makes it now illegal for a person or business to charge an exorbitant or very high price for a necessity such as cleaning supplies, bath tissue, hand sanitizer, canned and frozen food items, and more, such as face masks or other PPE or personal protective equipment during a statewide emergency. And so who is potentially liable for price gouging? And the answer to that question is anyone who tries to take advantage of the disaster by overcharging for necessities. So this can start with a frontline retailer like a grocery store, gas station, online sellers. Also includes the suppliers or wholesalers along the distribution chain who deliver the products for sale. And finally, manufacturers and producers themselves can also engage in price gouging. And also even individuals who may try to sell items such as bath tissue, paper towels, hand sanitizer, face masks at an exorbitant price through platforms such as Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, Nextdoor, and eBay. And of course, the coronavirus has not only created a bunch of price gouging issues, it also has created, there are other types of scams that we have seen coming from the coronavirus. Those we can pursue under our other authority, under the DTPA laundry list of 1746B. I've just put a couple of the provisions of the laundry list up on this slide, including causing confusion or misunderstanding as to the source, sponsorship, approval, or certification of goods, failing to disclose information under B24. And so, when we see those types of scams, we're going to look at our other tools under the DTPA to see if there is something to pursue. And so these other types of scams include cyber scams, telephone and text messaging scams, counterfeit product offers, bogus door-to-door testing kits and virus-related products, coronavirus disinfection claims, and then phony charity donation requests. And I just wanted to put out there the place to get accurate information about coronavirus or COVID-19 is consumers should look to their local health authorities for information about testing, and then also look to the EPA disinfectant list and the CDC instructions for how to properly clean to disinfect the virus. And so 4 of the major types of scams that we're seeing emerge are COVID-19 treatment, cures, disinfection scams, home testing kit scams, small business scams, and IRS scams. For COVID-19 treatment, cures, disinfection scams, we're seeing scammers offering all sorts of treatments and cures or ways to disinfect from the coronavirus. And currently, there are no FDA-approved treatments or cures for COVID-19. The FDA has sent 9 warning letters about this. Our office actually has sent a warning letter, or someone was claiming their vitamin C supplement infusions were a cure treatment for the coronavirus. But you see this with masks, test kits, air cleaners, different sanitizing materials, supplements, essential oils, and drugs. And so consumers should be on the lookout for this. And I would say go and talk to your doctor, check out the CDC website and the FDA for seeing what is approved and not approved. The other thing we've seen is home testing kit scams, where scammers are going to go door to door offering home test kits, and they're also being sold online. There are currently no home testing kits authorized by the FDA. If it's not coming through a doctor's office, it's probably a scam. There are also small business scams, which are targeted at small businesses offering to help them with loans and asking for personal information. And this is where we get into the phishing type of scams that people still need to be on the lookout for, despite the fact, even though we're in a coronavirus disaster, whenever there's a disaster, that's when scams go up. And obviously the recently enacted congressional stimulus bill, we want people to be on the lookout for IRS scams trying to steal your federal payment by taking your identity or making you give your information over to them, and then they can use that to steal your check. And so I did put some information in here just so people know you don't need to do anything to get your check. You may need to submit something to get a check if you haven't filed taxes for 2018 or 2019, but you should not be giving anyone your personal information to sign up for your check. If someone calls you to ask for your personal information, like your social security number, PayPal account, or bank information, that's a scam. Be looking out for someone pretending to be from the government or asking for your information to sign up for your check. And then the IRS has a website, irs.gov/coronavirus, that has information about how you should be communicating with the IRS to get your direct deposit. And again, do not be communicating with someone in response to an email, text, or call who's pretending to be from the IRS. And so we certainly tell consumers to be looking at the IRS website for more information. And so if the Consumer Protection Division decides to pursue a case, what kind of relief can we obtain? So we get our relief, we can get both injunctive relief, which is a court order prohibiting conduct, and then also monetary relief. When we get injunctive relief, that comes from 1746A, and that is whenever the Consumer Protection Division has reason to believe that any person is engaging in, has engaged in, or is about to engage in any act or practice declared to be unlawful by this subchapter, and that proceedings would be in the public interest, the division may bring an action in the name of the state against the person to restrain by temporary restraining order, temporary injunction, or permanent injunction the use of such method, act, or practice. We can, the cessation of unlawful conduct does not prevent our office from obtaining injunctive relief. So, you know, if we were to file suit and someone says, oh, now I've stopped it, we can still proceed. Our office can also obtain civil penalties of up to $10,000 per violation of the DTPA under 1747C. And then there's also additional penalties of up to $250,000 if a consumer is over 65 years of age for scams that particularly are targeting the elderly. We can also get restitution or actual damages under 1747D, and that will get money back to consumers who have lost their money in a price gouging case or other type of scam. And so here are some price gouging tips for consumers. And so if you're out shopping, if you're online and you see that the price of a product is a lot higher than usual, you should file a complaint with our office. You know, if you're trying to figure out whether or not this is price gouging, you can compare prices at nearby locations prior to the event at that location based off your knowledge of, you know, hey, I've shopped here before and I know that they used to charge this amount of money for this product and now it's another amount that's much higher. If you're at the place of business, you know, you can always, and you feel that you're being unfairly charged for goods or services, you can always raise the issue with the provider. You know, if you can be very respectful, but you can be frank about, hey, I think you're overcharging, and see how they respond. They might back down, or they might just tell you, well, yeah, it's higher because there's a disaster, and which is, of course, useful information to know if you are filing a complaint. And we encourage you to document what the price was, the time, the location, and the business. Save your receipt if you purchased it. Even if you did not buy the item, you can still file a complaint. And I put our information here about we can file a complaint online or call our office. And I will have that information later in this presentation for if you need to see it again. And if you are reporting price gouging or another coronavirus scam to our office, the most helpful information you can include is the name and location of the individual, the website, or the business. You know, where did you see this happening? Was it in the store? Was it online? If you can include a link to the web page, if it's possible, that's extremely helpful for us. If you have information on the seller, including the username and the location, and especially for things that are online, if you take screenshots, that's extremely helpful. And then also, if you're in a store, you can take a photo of the item. And you can also include photos of your receipt. And then again, any information on the product, links to the item, if you have the brand, the size, the price for reference, you know, as specific as you can is extremely helpful. If you can't be specific, it can't be specific, but that's always, it's good for us as we keep track of this and we ourselves are figuring out what's going on. And then if you have an order confirmation number or any email correspondence between you and the seller, that's also very, very helpful. And so what are the latest updates and actions from the Office of the Texas Attorney General when it comes to COVID-19? Well, our office has received over 6,000, and it's probably definitely more now, complaints on price gouging and scams since Governor Abbott's state of emergency declaration. The Consumer Protection Division has reached out to over 200 businesses and individuals to start investigating price gouging allegations. and say that many have modified their conduct as a result of being contacted by our office. A very common response that we are hearing is that the supply chains are increasing their prices and passing that down to the store, and then they're passing it on to you, the consumer. And so we're digging deeper to find the original source of price gouging in order to hold the right people accountable. And we are, again, actively investigating multiple businesses and individuals related to these complaints, and we have issued multiple civil investigative demands, which is basically our office's pre-suit subpoena, and warning letters to businesses based on complaints. Our office has also filed a lawsuit against Auctions Unlimited LLC for price gouging Texans by auctioning face masks. And following Governor Abbott's disaster declaration, Auctions Unlimited listed a series of auctions on its website, claiming to have over 750,000 face masks and hand soap, all-purpose cleaner, and disinfectant wipes. And on March 24th, bidding on the N95 respirator mask pushed listings as high as $180 for just a package of 16 masks. And so our office has filed suit, and this is an ongoing litigation, and I can't comment further. And so this is just some screenshots from our website for filing a consumer complaint. I do have on here that you can send, we do have form complaints right now. We ask if possible, you could please file complaints online. It's easier and it's faster for us to get to complaints that are filed online. And this last slide is our hotline and our website for where you can go for not only filing complaints, but more information about consumer protection issues, the coronavirus, and other consumer protection issues that you may encounter. So thank you very much for the opportunity to present, Leah.
I guess we can take a couple questions if you have some time.
Sure.
All right, we'll just end the screen share at your leisure. So we often hear that the market sets the price, and sometimes you just have increased demand and a limited supply, and that naturally results in higher prices. Is economics different than price gouging?
So we often hear that that raised to us. One of the things that we will point out is, we can't give legal advice to individuals or businesses and tell them what price to charge for an item. The legislature has said that once a disaster declaration has been declared by the governor, that you can't charge an exorbitant or excessive price. And so if the price is being pushed up higher by consumer demand, and that demand is due to the disaster, the price cannot go up.
So my follow-up question, I think, would be the natural one, is what counts as exorbitant or excessive?
So that's individual to each disaster, and then I would say what the item is. We take a lot, when we're determining whether or not price gouging occurred, we try to look at the price that the item was being offered or sold to the consumer at the time, what the previous prices were. We look at whether, how much did it cost for the person who sold or was offering to sell the item, how much was it for them? So there's not a black and white, I can tell you that this much more is price gouging. It's a dependent on the item, dependent on the situation, and dependent on the disaster.
So if I'm a consumer and I encounter something that might strike me as too expensive and potentially price gouging, are there any claims that you would say are too small to bother filing, or would you prefer to see all consumers submit all complaints?
Our office encourages all consumers to file complaints. If you see it and you're not sure, file the complaint, and then we can take a look at it. It's very helpful for us to get the complaint. And if you're able to file one, we encourage you to file.
So for consumers who may live in a small town or potentially know the store owner, is there a way to file complaints anonymously, or will you always need to identify yourself?
You can choose what information you want to include with respect to your name on the complaint.
Okay, awesome. And if I'm a consumer and I filed a complaint, would I expect to hear back from the Consumer Protection Division, or should I just assume that if it becomes a claim, I'll hear from you?
So we will sometimes contact consumers to find out more information. We can't represent individual consumers. So, you know, and we can't comment on the course of what we're going to do with a complaint. So it just depends on the complaint and what the content of the complaint is.
Awesome. Do you have any advice for consumers who are out there trying to shop and make good decisions about what to buy, what not to buy, and how to avoid price gouging schemes?
I think it depends on what it is you're trying to buy. And, you know, this is why we have price gouging laws. If you are very desperate for an item and that you feel like you have to buy it, even though you know you are being price gouged, that is really unfortunate. And that's what we want to hear about. You know, it's an individual choice, and, you know, depending on what your situation is when you're, you know, if you're faced between, I need to pay this amount of money for this product because I need this product because it's a necessity, and the chances I won't otherwise get it. You know, that's why we have price gouging laws. And when you're in the situation, you know, that's what we want to not happen. And if it does happen, you know, file a complaint with our office.
Awesome. Well, this has been very helpful. I really appreciate you taking the time today to share your presentation and all this valuable information for consumers. I'll be sure to provide a link to the Consumer Protection website under our video. And thanks again. Stay well.
Thank you.